Hey guys, Kevin for Arrow, Season 4, Episode 5, Haunted, and I was definitely looking forward to this episode. I mean, last week's episode was such a great surprise. I did not expect last week's episode to be as great as it was, and I was definitely interested because, of course, Constantine was coming in. I really wasn't sure how they were going to bring him in, but I have to say that I love this episode. This was another really strong episode. I don't think this was as good as last week's. I do think last week's was still just a bit better, but I still thought this was a great episode. I still loved it, and definitely one of the strongest of the season. What I like the most about this episode is that while Constantine was in this episode, this was not at all Constantine's episode. He was in it for what he had to do, and I like that. That's how you make a guest star work on a show. When you mesh two shows together, that's how you do it, and I really like that. So let's just get in this episode because overall I really enjoyed it. And we start off and we see a waitress is accosted by two men in a dark alley. They grab her, start to force themselves on her when Sarah, or, what's left of her, shows up, beats both men. And of course, we know that Sarah got away. We didn't know where she went. And basically, I was thinking that she remembered what was going on, but she shows up, she beats both men, brutally killing one of them, then starts to strangle the woman while chanting in tons until the police arrive. I mean, she's already a fugitive, basically, and this is pretty crazy, and we don't know why Sarah's doing all of this, but this is definitely pretty crazy, and I have to say, I mean, as usual, Katie Lutz was amazing in this episode. I mean, she's always great, but I thought, particularly in this episode, she was fantastic. Especially, it was great to see her actually have a lot to do here. So, I thought that was a great opening, and at the Queen for Mayor headquarters, Thea introduces Oliver to Alex Davis, their new political strategist. Now, Alex is a character that seems like he's going to be a love interest for Thea, but also is good for Oliver because basically Davis wants Oliver to distance himself from the Lance family because he likens Sarah's death on the Queen's Gambit to Chappaquiddick, and Oliver dismisses his concerns, but Davis tells him he can't unite the city if he's seen as a playboy, because obviously no one wants to elect some womanizer for mayor. Obviously they don't, so he wants Oliver to distance himself from Laurel because that's back when Oliver was a different kind of man, and I can understand why he wants him to do that. But we all know that Oliver and Laurel will never be able to be separated because they're on the same team, especially with what's happened with Laurel and Sarah. There's no way that that's gonna work. I do like Dave, the character of Alex, though. I will say that. I like his character overall. So in the flashback, Oliver finds his way back to the village and the flashbacks in this episode were actually important. Finally, we had a reason for the flashbacks because these flashbacks showed why Constantine helps Oliver in this episode and the connection that they have, which I definitely loved. So Oliver finds his way back to the village where the man had gone out on the island with Oliver confronts him about the communications gear he found. He has Oliver follow him in to talk to a man in charge, Baron Reiter as it happens, and he's found intruder John Constantine. Now that was awesome. And I like the way that they actually had John Constantine in the flashbacks. Even though he wasn't in the present very much, it gave us enough with him. And I have to say, I want to see him return because I think he's really good in this role. I mean, Matt Ryan really does a fantastic job as John Constantine. I never watched the show, but I think he's really good, definitely. And I'd like to see him maybe be on the show a bit more. So, back in Star City, Lance figured out that the mysterious woman killing criminals is an escaped Sarah. He knows it's her. He's not happy about it, and Laurel says she wants to find Sarah before Lance or Oliver do, since they want to kill her. Because obviously, Lance doesn't think this is his daughter. He still is hellbent on killing her. But I like that Laurel doesn't want to kill her, because she obviously wanted to mend fences between them. She wanted to get things back. Thing is, though, that Oliver doesn't even know what's going on. Oliver's not going to kill. That's just something he's not going to do. So, basically, at Palmer Tech, Felicity and Curtis examine the thumb drive containing Ray's dying declaration. There's some kind of digital noise on the recording that Felicity believes is more to the message, and she needs Curtis to decode it. So, basically, that's what he does in this episode, is decoding the message. That's basically what he does for the bulk of the episode. So Lance goes to see Darhk, who gives a mission to head to the federal server farm and plug a device Darhk gives him into a computer. So basically, you can still tell that Lance is still working for Darhk, obviously because he's kind of like a spy for Darhk right now, which I definitely like seeing. So out there, Oliver and Thea are practicing with eskrima sticks, and Thea tells Oliver that she doesn't agree with Alex's strategy of distancing Oliver from the Lances, who have always been there when she and Oliver need them, and I do agree with that. I mean, Laurel's always been there. Not, but the thing is, Laurel's not always been there. So in fact, she was, if you remember, in a very, used to be a very hated character and used to be a very selfish character. She's not really now, but she was then, and their conversation is interrupted by a call from Felicity, which is that a crazy blonde is attacking a nightclub, and of course we know that that is Sarah, and Oliver and Thea arrive. Laurel's already there struggling with Sarah before they can take her down, though Oliver is shocked to learn that it's Sarah who's been responsible for the attacks and hesitates long enough to let her get away. He can't believe that Sarah's back. He never thought something like this would happen, and when he finds out what happens, it's, needless to say, he's pretty upset about it. So back in the lair, Oliver quickly figures out Sarah's back, and he's not pleased, because he basically tells, Laurel that you can't bring people back from the dead. It just is not something you should do, and he did not want Sarah back. He did not agree to this, and I do agree that there is a different way that Laurel could have approached this. She could have asked the entire team to help her. They could have come up with something. There could have been other ways for her to do this. I get that Laurel really wanted to do this, and Oliver probably wouldn't have done it if she asked him to. But I think that she could have just approached this in a different way. I do agree with Oliver there. So in the flashback, Ryder shows Oliver a map of the island Constatine had on his person. He wants whatever it is that Constatine is there for and sends Oliver to escort Constatine to get it. When the other soldier objects, Constatine disarms them, uses his gun to disable a vehicle and take Oliver hostage. And basically, that was just awesome. Just seeing Oliver and Constantine working together, I loved it. So in the present, Lance comes to the lair to rant about Sarah's return. He gives Oliver the device that Darhk gave him, and Felicity identifies it as a delivery device for a virus that will target and delete select files. So Oliver says it isn't safe for Lance to try and infiltrate a federal building on his own. He sends him to work with Diggle, who's not happy with working with H.I.V.E, the organization that killed his brother. And I like this scene with Lance, because Lance explains actually why he was with Darhk, which is not something we knew. We find out that basically Darhk approached him. He was doing good things here and there, and then basically threatened him with Laurel, so now he has to work with him. And basically, Diggle thinks that he's going to use Lance to take down Darhk. So this is actually a good thing that they're doing. And we do focus on the H.I.V.E thing in this episode, which I do like seeing. It's always in the back of Diggle's mind. While he has other things that he needs to focus on, it is definitely going to be in the back of his mind, because he wants to know what's going on, why this whole thing happened. He's very interested in that. So at home that night, Oliver and Felicity talk about Sarah's return on the couch. Felicity thinks it would be nice to not have to say goodbye to their loved ones, but Oliver says it isn't that simple. And, Felicity's thing, well, we can't just put her down, but, Oliver's saying there's more to it. They try to figure out why Sarah had targeted the waitress, because obviously you don't just randomly target someone. There had to be a reason as to why she's doing this. So they want to know why she targeted the waitress and another woman at the nightclub when she had otherwise only attacked criminals. These were not criminals. These were waitresses. And they realize after bringing the pair of them up on screen that the two women both resemble Thea. And that would make perfect sense, because who was the one that killed Sarah? Thea was the one that killed Sarah. And that makes perfect sense that Sarah is obviously after Thea. And I really loved that twist, I have to say. I think that's awesome. Because I was thinking that Sarah was going to go back because she was completely back. But no, she's, this hostage violent person, this erratic violent person because of Thea. That's really what's happened. If Thea had not killed her, I don't think Sarah would be nearly as violent. She'd still be hellbent on revenge, but, she wouldn't be going after Thea, obviously. She'd be going after the person that killed her. So Oliver tries to call her to warn her, but Thea ignores the call because she assumes he's just calling to yell at her for bringing Sarah back, which he's not. He's just gonna tell her she's in danger, but Thea thinks it's because of that, so she's upset. So just then, Sarah crashes into her apartment, attacking her while speaking in Arabic, and after a brief fight, Thea manages to cut Sarah, get out of the apartment, but after falling down the stairs, Thea loses consciousness, and Sarah flees. Such an intense, awesome scene. I really love that, I have to say. And Thea tells Oliver that when she wakes up in the hospital, that Sarah's going through the same thing that she is, and that she killed her attackers in Nanda Parbat. So they're both going through the same thing, because Oliver says, oh, you never killed anyone, but Thea talks about, yeah, she killed the people in Nanda Parbat, and that her and Sarah are very similar. So Laurel comes in to check on Thea, and Oliver escorts her out to talk, because obviously, this is all Laurel's fault, okay? He's not going to sugarcoat this. Even though Thea was the one that helped her out, this was Laurel's idea, and he's furious that Malcolm influenced her to kill people, and that Laurel didn't tell him about Nanda Parbat, and she counters that he didn't tell her about bringing back Thea until he absolutely had to, because he doesn't see her as an equal, and That's true. He didn't tell her about that until it was needed, and she says Sarah's out of her right mind right now because of the decision she made, and she's sorry about what happened to Thea because she always loved the queens, and she just wishes Oliver cared about her family too. And I'm just like you had, Oliver does care about her. It's not that he doesn't care about her family. That line was really stupid, I have to say, when Laurel said that. But I do understand what Laurel's saying, that Oliver needs to be a bit more supportive because he did the same thing to her with Thea, and obviously she is, I'm not saying that Thea, that Laurel's not being a hypocrite here because she is, but I do think to the point when she's saying, look, you did the same thing to me with Thea. Who are you to react to me this way? I completely understand that. So back on Leah and you, Oliver brings Constantine to a clearing in the jungle. Constantine says there are more things on the island that bad people shouldn't have access to, but that he's on the side of the angels. So he pulls up some plants, twigs, and dirt and does a spell, baffling Oliver. The spell reveals a hatch in the ground, and Oliver sends Constantine down a ladder ahead of him, and basically at a federal building, Diggle and Lance hook up the USB device. Notice that it seems to be deleting files and individuals, and they don't know whose files these are. So this could be really bad, because these could be files that is someone near and dear to them, and this could obviously, they don't really know what's going on there. So in the hospital, Laurel apologizes to Thea, who says the reason Sarah wants to kill her is that she's the one who killed Sarah, and she says that maybe if Sarah kills her, Sarah will be okay, but Laurel says that's not an answer. She's not going to let Thea kill her. Although I do think Thea's going to be the one killed. Yeah, I do think that Thea's going to end up being the one killed before the season is over, because as we know, someone does die. I think Thea's going to be the one killed. I don't think that, Sarah killing Thea would resolve anything. I mean, Oliver will go back to his depressing state. He's trying to be a happier person. He'd go back to being the Arrow. He'd be really upset about it. We know how he reacted to Mordecai. Just imagine what would happen if Thea died. I mean, I can't imagine how Oliver would be. He would be crushed if that happened. And of course, the fact that he'd bring her to Lazarus Pit, definitely. I mean, even though he already brought her there, he'd probably do it again. So at the federal building, Diggle notices that his brother's file is one of the ones being deleted, and he frantically scrambles to stop the process, but an alarm goes off and security guards descend. Lance pistol whips Diggle, tells security guards that he's a cop who tracked a hacker here and the call for backup. They leave, and Lance walks Diggle out. Clearly, this was all Darhk's plan. He doesn't want Diggle to get in the middle of it, obviously. Lance is trying to protect him, but he's also just doing what Darhk told him to do, so he's kind of playing both sides here, which is a smart idea, but I do feel like Lance is going to end up in a really bad position because he's on both sides, like I said, and it's just not the best idea. So in the hospital, Sarah comes again to attack Theo, tells her it's okay to kill her. Sarah knocks over a TV stand, attacks Oliver and Laurel's attention during the attack, though, and Sarah again leaps out the window. Oliver said Sarah wasn't there when he looked at her in the eye. He says the pit didn't bring her back her soul, but that she has a connection to Thea, and Thea says that she can use that. So this person that's back is definitely not Sarah. Like, it's Sarah, but she's not all the way back. There definitely is more going on there, and I definitely really like that. So on the island, Constantine explains the island is a bad place that attracts bad people. He sees some writing that translates roughly to only for the pure of heart, so he handcuffs Oliver to a post and walks in. Oliver uncuffs himself, follows Constantine, and then saves him when his retrieval of an artifact causes a trap to be sprung, and basically Lance then returns to Darhk to tell him he accomplished his mission, and then he asks about Andy Diggle, and Darhk tells him that H.I.V.E, and of course Andy was Diggle's brother, and Darhk tells him that H.I.V.E hired an assassin to take out Diggle, and he says Diggle was competition for H.I.V.E in Afghanistan, that he was a crime lord, and they had to take him out. So it seems kind of like he was he wanted to be, basically that just Darhk wanted to be on the up, and in order for him to do that, he had to kill Diggle's brother. So I'd like to see some flashbacks, though, because this feels like something we should be getting flashbacks about, and we're not, and it's not a complaint yet, but I hope that they at least show some flashbacks. We usually get at least one Diggle flashback per season, so I'm hoping we get something with this at some point this season, because it's really important right now, and it's probably going to be really important for the rest of the season. So, and I do understand that obviously Darhk wanted power, but obviously, there was no reason to kill him. He could have done other things. I'm not saying it was, reasonable what he did, but I do understand why Darhk had to do what he did. It just probably wasn't the best option to kill him. So at the now closed Verdance, Thea's hanging out waiting for Sarah to show up, and the rest of the Team Arrow's waiting in the wings. Sarah crashes through a window, attacks her, but after a brief fight with the team, Oliver used a tranquilizer arrow on her. Laurel wants to shoot Sarah, basically seeing that there's nothing there anymore. There's no reason that they shouldn't just shoot her. But Oliver stops her. He has a better solution. He decides to call Constatine for help, and Obviously, this was the stuff I was really looking forward to, is seeing how Constantine would be in here, but like I said, Constantine just did what he had to do. He did his thing, and then he left, and I like that. I like seeing that Constantine didn't take up the bulk of this episode. He did what he had to do. I feel like the promos, though, were a bit misleading, and I wish they would have shown the promos a bit differently, because most people probably thought that Constantine was in this episode a lot more than he was, which he was in the flashbacks, but in the present, he was in this one scene, and then he left. So Constantine joins Team Arrow in the lair. He tells them that Sara needs a rest restitution, if a restoration of her soul, and basically he gives Felicity a list of things he needs and tells the team that if things go bad, because they're asking if it's gonna be an extra, and he's saying he doesn't need that, and he said if things go wrong, they'll all be dead, they'll all be too dead to care. I love his dry sense, like his very dark sense of humor. He says he's only got enough stuff to send himself plus 2 people, and that's Oliver and Laurel. So Diggle basically, Constantine warns them that it won't be easy to retrieve her soul, and then lights a fire in the bowl that Felicity provided, and basically, gets ready. So, he gets ready to, do his thing, basically. So, basically, that's what happens there. Sorry, guys. I think I just had, like, a minor nosebleed there. That was weird. I don't know where that came from. But Constantine basically warns them that it won't be easy. Oh, I just read that. So, Felicity provided, she chants a spell, and the 3 of them find themselves on the other side, and it looks like Nanda Parbat, and, basically it looks like the Lazarus Pit. It's obviously not the Lazarus Pit, but it looks like the Lazarus Pit. And Sara is in the Lazarus Pit, screaming for Laurel's help. Constantine tells him to get her out while he fights whatever comes to guard the doors, and this was actually a pretty thrilling scene. After Oliver takes out the first 2 League of Assassin members with his bow, Constantine has a sword fight with another LOA member, League of Assassin member, while Oliver and Laurel wrestle Sara away from the pits, and eventually Constantine wins by casting the right spell he tried a few to immobilize the spirit and then stab him. So that was awesome. I love that Constantine was able to do that. I love that it worked out for them, and that was definitely really great. One of the highlights of the episode, definitely. Sorry, guys. I don't know where this nosebleed is coming from, but that's weird. Anyway. The trio then all return to consciousness in the real world, and shortly thereafter, Sara wakes up now calm, and basically the Lances all hug and cry together while Team Arrow watches, and Constantine smiles, and things went really well, and Oliver tells Constantine he owes him one. Constantine says they're technically even, but Oliver says that anytime Constantine needs anything, he'll be there, and I feel like this is not the last we've seen him. We're going to see Constantine again this season. I don't know when, I don't know what capacity, but I feel like we're going to see Constantine again before this season ends. He is billed as a recurring character, so I feel like we're going to see him again, because I heard that there is a chance that they might, give him back the show on the CW. A lot of people say that Constantine, the reason that it got canceled is because it was on the wrong show, and, was on the wrong network, and, I think that definitely is really great that people said that. Sorry, guys, I'm just wiping my nose here. I don't know where this bloody nose coming from, but whatever. But I like that with Constantine, because it shows that this is probably not the last time we're going to see him. We're probably going to see him again before the season ends, and I really like that. And again, he did what he had to do, and I like that. So John asks, Constantine asks what it is that's making the hair on the back of his neck stand up, and Oliver says that it's likely Darhk, and Constantine looks very concerned and tells Oliver to watch himself, and you can tell that Constantine has heard this name before, and we don't know why, but Oliver asks for advice, and Constantine basically tells him to just leave town. So he knows how powerful Darhk is, and this is someone that, can summon dead spirits, so obviously Constantine knows how powerful Darhk is, and obviously is making Darhk seem like a really big threat. So that definitely was very interesting that Constantine reacted that way. I mean, you would have thought that Constantine would have been fearless and been like, oh yeah, I'll take out Darhk, but no, he actually is quite scared, and this is Constantine we're talking about, so I definitely really like that. So after he leaves, Thea checks in with Oliver about Nanda Parbat, but he's come around to Laurel's way of thinking that he doesn't make room to be mad at people for keeping secrets. There's no reason for him. That part is over. Now that things are back, Sarah's back to normal, it's fine that, they lied and they've dealt with that, so they're good now. So in the flashback, Constantine tells Oliver he owes him one, offers to bring him back home. He's got a boat at the shore, and of course that goes with what we saw with Constantine. Oliver says that Conklin, the other soldier, suspects him too much already, so he can't go back empty-handed. And Constantine breaks a valuable-looking orb off the top of the staff that they're just recovered, saying the true powers in the Grimoire, a spellbook inscribed in the staff. He says people like Ryder always got attracted to sparky bits, but then he uses the staff to remove a tattoo from his arm while reciting a spell, and he tells Oliver to lift it up his shirt, holds his hand to Oliver's stomach, where the tattoo reappears, and Oliver tells Constantine to punch to make the escape look convincing, and Constantine does, and you can tell why Constantine obviously helped out Oliver, because he helped him out, and I definitely really like seeing that. So, basically, cut to the current day when Oliver's about to step on stage for an interview. Alex is there, but so is Laurel, and Oliver tells him he's not going to distance himself from Laurel, and that's not going to work, and Alex says he guesses he gets paid either way. Thea tells Oliver that she's proud of him, and he just tells Oliver to go with the whole united thing, and Laurel thanks Oliver, tells him that Sarah's resting. He says she was right, that he hasn't always been the best friend, but that he wants to start to be better. And again, it really goes to just the idea of Oliver wanting to redeem himself, and I really like that, I have to say. Definitely really good stuff there. So Lance knocks on Diggle's door, bringing a hard copy of a classified file on Andrew, and he says and he basically tells him that you don't have to read this. He says you can remember your brother, how you knew him, gives the file to Diggle, and he's, incredulous and crestfallen, but glad to know the truth. He's happy to know what happened to his brother and why things are going on, just closure. And I like that Lance wants to give Diggle that closure. He can tell what Diggle's gone through, and I definitely really like that. So, the way this episode ended was very interesting. At Palmer Tech, Curtis has a huge number of energy drinks, and has cleaned up Ray's message, and he tells Felicity that not only is he alive, he is in trouble, and that's how the episode ends. So, now it looks like next week it's going to be saving Ray, just like they did with Sarah. I get that people are upset that maybe they're setting up Legends of Tomorrow too fast, but they need to, because that's just where we're headed. We're headed for Legends of Tomorrow, and they need to do this, really quickly, because it's coming out in January, so they really didn't have any time. Overall, guys, really great episode. I really hope we see Constantine again, because I really like seeing him in this episode. I think he did a really great job for what he was in. And like I said, I hope we see more of him, because he's really great on the show, I have to say. I definitely really liked his character. Let's talk about Sarah. What's going to happen with her now? Because obviously, Laurel's the Black Canary. Sarah was the Black Canary. I feel like there's going to be a power struggle between them now, because who's going to be the Black Canary? Is it going to be Laurel, or is it going to be Sarah? That's my big question here. We know that Sarah's going to be the White Canary in Legends of Tomorrow, but that's not happening yet. So, where's her transformation going to be with that? That's going to be interesting. Alex and Thea seems like they're going to have some chemistry, which I do like seeing. We'll have to see what happens with that. Definitely that's going to be interesting. It seems like Oliver's campaign is working out, but obviously Constantine was freaked out about Darhk. Why? How does he know Darhk? What is his connection to Darhk? These are things I want to know. What really is going on with that? Why was Constantine so freaked out? There has to be a reason why he was as freaked out as he was. There has to be a reason there. So, Lance and Diggle, I like that Lance gave Diggle that proper closure that he needed. But overall, guys, great episode. Also, what has happened to Ray? Where is Ray? Why is he kidnapped? What's happening? That's something we need to know. Obviously, we don't know how Ray is alive. How the hell is he alive? I don't know. But, I guess is alive. And we'll have to find out how that happened next week. I was thinking they were going to have to call in Constantine for the Lazarus Pit, but no, he's alive, and we'll have to see what happens with that. But overall, guys, let me know what you guys saw this episode. I thought this was a great episode. I'm really enjoying the season. And we'll see you guys in my next video, which will be for Homeland. Yes, finally, I will review Homeland, and I will see you guys for that. I've not forgotten about Homeland. Just haven't gotten a chance to review it. Sorry about my bloody nose. I don't know where that came from, but I will see you guys in my next video. Okay, bye.